So this is one of those situations that the technician did not know there was a problem with his installation of the new fan. And this whole front end has been replaced up to here. Everything is new, the fans, all the sheet metal, bumper cover, radiator, condenser. Oh, another thing I noticed, you could see where I removed the dust by putting my hands on there because I always squeeze the hoses. There's coolant in there, but it's mixed with a lot of air. First thing I noticed, I popped the cap and the coolant level was all the way down. Their level of coolant in the tank is all the way down. They're the old school guys who don't use vacuum purging, and they think just by topping it off and filling it gets it every time. So this heater system, the coolant system, is filled with air in the system too, but it's enough where I could run it. I'm not worried about that. But because it's been cold the last several days, this engine never got hot enough between driving around in the shop to turn on the fans. Now that I have the refrigerant charged, it will engage the fan as soon as the AC goes on. So we'll watch that, listen to what happens. This is what I found. And so they're about to deliver this to the customer, and this is what the customer would hear once the engine got hot, because that customer would not have the AC on. So the customer would take off. He has a low coolant system, but on top of that, once the engine got hot, listen. You hear that? That's the brand new fan that the technician installed. He just put it on there. But this gets to the point of experience and a lack of experience. You don't put on a rotating device without rotating it a few times to check. So getting down here, stick my fingers down there so the fan can automatically start with engine heat and chop my fingers off. You could twist the fan and it hits solid on something. So that's just another thing of desperate for technicians who don't check, they're in a rush. Often they get pulled off their job. Maybe the technician just put the fan on there and then somebody told him to jump onto another car and then he forgot. You know, that stuff happens too. But that's the problem with keep pulling your technicians off of different cars. You will have comebacks. You will have failures. I was just one yesterday. This is an experience. This has nothing to be done with being pulled off. The technician put the radiator hose. He put the radiator hose over on the on the radiator over the neck. But you know how the neck lumps up and then comes down? So he pushed it in far enough. But you know the type of clamps that you use where you grip them together with a pair of pliers to make them bigger and then you slip them over? He only put the clamp up on the ridge, on the high part of the ridge. Barely, not even on top of it. It was more to this side. That kind of scenario happens when the engine gets hot driving down the freeway and or in stop and go traffic, when the pressure goes up because the clamp is located to the backside of the ridge on the compressor, it pops up the upper radiator hose. And that's only due to lack of experience. And this is what keeps happening when these guys keep hiring guys who are less than 1 year, 2 years experience, and that's all they have in their shop. And this kind of stuff is happening over and over and over again, non-stop. What else? Oh, had a good one. So we had a technician, oh no, not a technician, an owner of a shop called me up with a problem with a adjuster. And an adjuster is from somewhere back east and didn't want to approve recovery on the refrigerant. He said, oh, well, you shouldn't charge us for a recovery on refrigerant because you just pull the refrigerant out, put it in a bottle and put it right back in. So it should be free. No, it doesn't work like that. And he went off on him about how many pieces of paper he has of certificates and evidence that he has experience and knowledge in this through training about refrigerant. Well, this is where you get a couch potato engineer or a YouTube professor or these guys with toilet paper degrees, I call them. I don't care who the hell you are. My grandmother passed the refrigerant certification test and she died 30 years ago. That's how easy it is. That means nothing. And so, well, make the long story short, we got a Yahoo adjuster back east saying that refrigerant recovery and recharge should be free, or recovery and the refrigerant should be free. Well, I go, let's see what's free. So sending a technician out there to do it is free. Buying a $8,000 to $15,000 machine is free. Having a $1,000 or even a cheap $300 leak detector is free. Having a $3,000 refrigerant analyzer to prove that it's required to be tested prior to be recovered, that's free. So this adjuster is coming up that the refrigerant that is taken out under the recovery process to put it back in should be free. I don't think so. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Nice free world we live in when you have bench jockeys who are behind phones who do nothing but push paper and make phone calls, who don't know their ass from a hole in the ground, make decisions for somebody else in business. See you guys.